Transformation without a method is like climbing Everest without a map, a guide, or any oxygen. And I'm sure there's a few of us in the room who would probably take on the challenge, but it's definitely not recommended. Great transformations happen. Thank you. Great transformations happen when innovation meets structure. And the reason that I mention this is because I think the industry stat that's usually thrown around from various different consulting firms is that 70% of them usually fail. So if you think of this as a lessons learned, poor communication and change management is quite high. And what that alludes to is your stakeholder management. So if you think that you're all cocktails in the room, think about your stakeholders, they're all cocktails. You need a really good mixologist who's going to manage all of those. You also, take for example, Workday, for example. We know that Workday is a great system, great HCM. We know that it's very expensive. A lot of businesses put it in, a lot of businesses integrate with it, but it's not always adopted. You don't always have the right change management and you don't always have the right communication structure. So transformations are always going to be the most successful when you communicate. And this is always missed in most transformations because people think, oh, it's payroll. The only change that's really going to happen for an employee is maybe there's something around your CBAs, your unions, your work councils, but the way that they access their payslip. It's not necessarily. Think about when you go through your transformation, your penny tests. Think about what you do with your year-end documents, your absences, how people need to download everything. The more that you communicate, not only with your employees, but your internal stakeholders, the more successful you're going to be. And that is because nowadays, payroll it's not just about your payroll teams. Payroll is part of a wider ecosystem. It's part of an infrastructure where finance meets HR, meets IT, meets procurement, meets legal. If you're going to go out and you're going to source a new system, it's not enough for your payroll team to pull together your requirements. You're not going to be able to select another vendor unless you've got budget, planning, project requirements, all of your buy-in, and you know what your risks are. And that's really important because nobody is going to sign off for a multi-million-pound investment case to put a piece of technology in to be able to pay your people if it's not going to get past your data privacy, your cyber security, all of your risk. And the reason that I've put this up here is not to gloat on the negativities of transformation, although it does look like it. Always utilize lessons learned when you go into a transformation because they are going to give you your biggest indicator internally as to how other projects have been successful or failed. And they will help you build your map. So your vision, your transformation, where you're going to, these will all help you avoid some of the pitfalls. And bringing in the right resource to help you do that is really important because they're going to save you potentially not only a lot of money, but a lot of headaches as well. So there's only so much I can do in 15 minutes, so this is super high level. Your transformation, I usually split it into two. You've got your pre-implementation here, then you've got your implementation. They both need their own governance. An implementation methodology is slightly different. They're all the same, but this is your pre, and this is really important because you need to do your discovery. So I'm just going to jump to this one. It looks a bit like a house, doesn't it? But it must be in a hot country because it's got no windows. This, if you think of this as a bit like your operating model, as part of your discovery, you want to understand your technology stack, your integrations, your business process, your people, your data, your controls, your service. What do you have now and where do you want to go to? So you need to understand your as is, your to be, and then you're going to map your gap analysis, your change impact analysis, and that's then going to feed into your investment case. That's going to give you the lay of the land as to where you are and how much it's going to cost you. But more than anything, your optimization. So you're going to go to a vendor. You're going to get a great piece of technology. You're probably going to be able to put in a really enhanced controls framework. You're going to be able to optimize as part of that. That's all your business benefits because you're asking for investment, a lot of investment to put this in. So you've got to make sure that you can always outweigh the risk as to why you're doing that. So just back to here. So this is very much your strategic pillars, which is the slide that I've just shown you. Once you understand that, you want to design. And modern society has a real sort of preference to prioritize speed over thoughtful consideration. And I think in that, we lose our design thinking. So if you have got a problem which you're normally going to solve from bottom up, not usually top down because you need the detail, don't you? If you're going to solve a problem, you need to think about it and you need facts to be able to do that. You can't argue with facts. If you're going to present an investment case, you want those on paper across your strategic pillars. And with your design, you need to make sure that you're looking at different data sets. So you want to pull various different angles. So for example, what's your utilization of your current teams? What's your case management? What's your metrics? And if you start looking at that data and analysing it, you'll quite quickly see where your time is being spent and where it could be optimised. And that is going to start saying, this is what we want. Now, underneath all of this, you're probably going to be going to RFP, because if you're doing this, you know that you've probably got a problem. My advice is usually do this before you start your RFP. And I know that's not always possible, but vendors tend to be quite structured and organised. And if you go to RFP and you ask a load of questions before you've understood this, you're going to elongate this process here hugely. And you're going to end up going back, asking more questions and doing your design and potentially ending up with a solution that actually doesn't always fit your needs. That's all then going to plug into your investment case. So it's quite short and sweet, and I can't go into detail around your gap analysis or CIA, but what I do say is when you're creating this, use your strategic pillars and define your criteria and then RAG it. And that quite quickly is going to give you your red, your amber or your green status around all of these. And then you're going to know at high level, you can do it by country along with the pillar. You're going to know where you've got problem areas and what you need to have a look at. Build your stakeholder relationships. Every single person you meet knows something that you don't know. People are your biggest asset and you need to really utilise them as part of a transformation. Because the people who, when transformations go wrong, it is the people that miss out. It is the people that it comes back on. So create a good environment and make sure when you've implemented it, you maintain it. I think most businesses, and I don't mean to speak out of turn, they're really guilty of implementing stuff and then not necessarily maintaining it and wondering why they then have problems. This is a critical business function and it needs to be run like that. And the best place you can start is with transformation, but apply the governance and the structure to your change request process and how you manage those processes as well. And that's all I've got for you today.